G'day, it's Denodon here, and welcome back to Star Citizen, specifically version 3.1. Today we are taking a look at a new ship that was added with this release, which is the Anvil U4A3 Terrapin, which you see in front of me, and ignore the jittery guns under the nose. That is a bit of a bug at the moment. Now, this ship, well, it was originally listed as part of a vote for who wanted a new sort of starter ship, and it was pitched as an idea of being a starter explorer, very heavily armored. And it didn't win that vote. That vote became the Reliant, for being the two-seater, but the Terrapin was the first of those ships in that bid to get made anyway, albeit with its focus shifted slightly. It is now the starter for the exploration profession, so it is the first ship that, if you want to be an explorer in the game, will be basically dedicated for that role. Now, in the lore, these ships were apparently for the UEE Navy, like they use them for picket duties, so sort of long-range scouting and recon, and basically the ability to patrol systems without sending a full-on capital ship out to. But they tend to use it elsewhere now as basically sort of research platforms, because instead of being fast, this ship is armoured. It's supposed to have a large shield and heavy armour, which makes it a tough nut to crack, or as you can see, sort of based on the look, it's been nicknamed the Armoured Turtle. Now, it doesn't have much firepower, those two guns under the nose are it, but it is also supposed to be quite a sneaky ship. Because its focus is primarily on armor, you can, in theory, disable the shields, make your emissions basically as low as possible, and then using your advanced radar systems and scanners, search for things without being seen yourself. Now, there is a downside to this, in that in the Q&As done when the ship was in concept, Sig mentioned that the thick armor makes it difficult for the Terrapin to efficiently vent its heat, which to do this you have to open up the armor, which you can see those sort of, there's a bit of a judder there, which you can see the flaps on the sides here, so they will cool it down, but they will also, open up a vulnerability. Now, despite its exploration focus, this ship is also listed as being done for troop transport and for search and rescue duties, which its focus on, having good scanners will allow for. You will see that it sort of follows Anvil's aesthetics. This is the first non-single seat fighter I think that we've got from Anvil in the game. So it's also the first one with an interior, which you will see in a second. These engines all rotate down for in the VTOL landing mode and then rotate horizontally for flight. So they're supposed to give it quite efficient landing, because although it's not in the game yet, they plan on implementing thrusters that differ in effectiveness depending on where the thrusters are actually pointing. Now you've got some additional drive thrusters on the back here, however there aren't that many, you can sort of see them there. And then on the other side it's much the same thing. Now, how do you get in, you might ask? Well, this ship is, I think, the first ship in the game where you actually board from a side ramp, like in many sci-fi settings. So you go to here, oh, we're getting a lot of stutters here, I'm not sure why, and we'll open the door. So the ramp will slide down. I've left the power on, we're at Hicks Research Outpost on Selin, and we shall board into the central area. Well, this is a 2-crew ship. Whoop. Don't know what went there, I've never had that bug before. Alphas, aren't they fun? We'll close that ramp. Watch how it folds up. But yes, this is a 2-crew ship, and this is where the second crewman sits. As you can see, it's called a support station, but it's supposed to be a sort of radar systems operator. He doesn't operate the gun, that's a pilot. This is the guy who operates basically everything else. Now, around the place, you've got all these different housings. So you've got, like, very bright power plant housing there. You've got a locked radar section. We've got a little toilet and shower, as you have to have in any Star Citizen ship, which you can use. We're not going to use it, but you can use it. We'll close that up again. Oh, I'm using the controller, so it's a little more difficult. You can enter the bed, just a single bed, so you're going to have to hot bunk. And you got a microwave. I think this might be the first ship that's got a microwave. That's something. Got more coolers and things. That's life support. You got the jump drive there. Basically, this ship is being built out with the Item 2.0 system for accessing all the components directly. So if you get a fault in, say, your life support, you'll have to come here and work on it here, which is interesting. Now you got some gun racks here. You got provision for a suit, like a spacesuit of some kind, not a tuxedo. That would be interesting. And then more guns. So this is basically it for the interior. It's not a big ship at all. It's actually surprisingly small. It's shorter than the 300 series at, I think, 19.5 meters. You got more components in here, and then we walk into the cockpits. Just a single seat, and we'll get inside and take this into the air for a flight. Now, this is a long-range ship, so it's supposed to be designed for just those two people to go out and stay out basically without having to get in anywhere. So it's got most of the systems you need here. You'll see... Oop, why are you not letting me... There we go.
Engines offline. Engines online.
They're online, not offline. Let's take off.
Complete.
Now I normally fly with the HOTAS, so flying with the Xbox controller is a little more tricky. Mostly trying to remember what my keybinds are.
Landing gear raised.
So let's target ourselves up and get some acceleration going. Now the normal speed is 210 meters per second. I believe 1210 is the top speed with Afterburner and that on. So it's not the fastest ship in the game, you know, definitely not compared to the new MISC Razor, which I'll also have to cover. But it's still, you know, a decent speed for what this is. One thing you'll notice already is this HUD layout with the MFDs at the bottom. I actually really like that because most of these are fully accessible just from here. See, I only have to look down a little bit and I can see 4 of them, but I can also see these ones on the side. So there's plenty you can do here without having to do much else. Which is a benefit, because a lot of ships in this game at the moment have HUDs where it's very difficult to use these MFDs. Like here, I can just simply have that one set as comms, or that one set as comms. So you can see I've got them set up that way anyway, because that is the default, and it works well enough for me. So we'll look on the outside. This is the Terrapin, how it looks in flight. You'll see the engine sort of angle back, but also slightly outwards, so they're not melting each other. That's a good thing. I would have personally staggered the engines, one inside and the other sort of outside further from the body, but it is what it is. You've got some nice lighting there. You can definitely see the armoured look to this. It is a, in my opinion, quite a cool looking ship. It fits the Anvil angular aesthetic that we know fairly well, and yet it's something different too. So it's the armoured space turtle with the big radar dome on top, and the customary Anvil sort of bulbish looking power plant thing on the bottom. But yeah, so it flies fairly well. Just show you around a few things. Oh, there's Crusader, obviously, because this is still an alpha, things are not entirely working. Oh, we're reading out a little there. It handles pretty well though.
Bogey.
Oh, we got a bogey. Okay, we got targets. I'm not going to worry about them. Let's just go somewhere. Let's just jump to yellow. So we'll set that as our destination. I'm pretty sure I set that as my destination. Yep, I did. And let's go there.
Quantum drive is now on.
Now, because I'm using the Xbox controller, my speed seems to drop to nothing first, which is weird. Oh, interdiction. These things are bloody annoying, and they're back. I do hope they get rid of them at some point or reduce their frequency, because when it happens every single jump, it's a bit annoying. But I digress, that's not about the ship, that is about a game design mechanic at the moment. Let's just cruise a little further. Watch the ship as we cruise in towards Yella. And boom, here we are. We are now in Yella's asteroid belt, which is always cool. And yes, so we are in another spot, and it flies just like every other ship. It's fairly agile, as you can see. It doesn't really handle too much like a big ship, but there's some way. Like, you can feel, especially when you sort of rotate, the acceleration takes a little while to compensate. So if you've only been flying a single seater, the Terrapin might be a little bit of a learning curve for you. But anyway, that was the Anvil Terrapin. It is a pretty interesting ship in my opinion. It was, however, a bit expensive. It was $195 US when it was in concept, but I do believe it's available now, or at the time of this video going up, because of 3.1's release, but I don't believe it will be on for much longer, though of course it will be back in future, and eventually will be purchasable with in-game currency. But until next time, I'm Denodon, this is Star Citizen, safe landings.